It's my favorite piano for the kind of work that I do, period. Want to hear more? Stick around. Hey folks, EB here on behalf of Alamo Music, who have been helping people tell stories through song for almost a century long. Today is a good day, because today I get to talk with you about my all-time favorite hybrid piano, the Kawai NV10S. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the term, a hybrid piano is an instrument that blends the conventional acoustic methods for producing sounds along with electrical and or electronic methods. That's a pretty big umbrella, ranging back to olden days with Yamaha's CP70 acoustic electric piano from the 70s, which incidentally you happen to see in the background of many Alamo music videos, all the way up to the bleeding edge tech that we find in instruments like the NV10S that we'll be looking at today. Now, most hybrids these days fall under one of two umbrellas, okay? Either a primarily acoustic instrument with digital sound reproduction capabilities, or a primarily digital instrument with acoustic features. The Novus falls under that second latter category, producing its sound exclusively through digital means while housing some key acoustic elements. And man, what key acoustic elements they are. Folks, I have been a career piano player since 1995, performing over 2,000 shows and events, and have performed on every level of piano and keyboard out there, including the best every manufacturer has to offer. That's Steinway, that's Busendorfer, that's Yamaha, that's Nord, that's Korg, that's Roland, that's everybody, with one exception. I have yet to play a Fazioli. That is the only blind spot I'll own, and they only make about 200 or so a year, so, you know, take it for what it's worth. But other than that, I played a few pianos in my day. So when I say what I say next, it's a pretty well-informed, some might say, expert opinion. And here's what I have to say about the NV10S. For what I do, this is the best hybrid piano, not only on the market, but ever created, period. It is simply amazing. It blows my mind frequently, almost every day I play it. Okay, so I need you to understand first, my entire relationship with Alamo Music was preceded by my walking into an Alamo piano gallery to literally buy a NV10S. That's also very important for me to say because the Novus that you see here is actually not one that I own, but part of my endorsement deal with Alamo, okay? So, in the name of transparency, for those of you who may be wondering, hey, is EB telling us that this piano is the best because of an endorsement deal? And I'll tell you straight up, 100% no. In fact, today's video topic will be focusing on the areas where I personally believe that the NV10S least excels. And if that's what you need a piano for, you might want to look somewhere else. I'm just saying. Now, in upcoming videos, we will be covering where it shines in live performance and in studio applications. Today, though, we're going to be covering the NV10S as the primary instrument for learning piano, both for a student and for an instructor. Let's dive in. As a piano educator myself for over 25 years, I get asked by students and parents all the time what instrument I'd recommend for them. When I evaluate an instrument's suitability for a student, I'm keeping in mind both the instrument itself as well as the student's abilities and interests. Now, more specifically for the instrument, I'm assessing 6 areas: price, portability, action, sound, user interface, or UI, and other features. For the student, I'm assessing whether the student is a beginner, an intermediate, or advanced, and then what styles of music that they would be most interested in learning how to play. In talking through this review, let's start first with the instrument, the NV10S. First, starting with price, well, there you have it. The number one reason why I would not recommend this instrument to most beginning or even most intermediate students is that the Novus is going to set you back around 10 grand, even used, most likely. Now, if you're a beginning student or just starting your kid off to see if they even like piano, there are probably much more affordable ways to begin your piano journey that will be just as effective, possibly even more so. Kawai themselves happen to make incredible entry-level digital pianos and keyboards with graded hammer action, as well as several competitors such as Roland and Yamaha, Casio, and others. Many of these will run you under $1,000. Anytime that I can slash a zero at the end of my price tag, I'm a happy guy. Now don't get me wrong, the Novus is well worth the investment if you have the funds and the reasons to make it. For most folks who are just getting started, this really isn't the case. For intermediate students who are dedicated and likely would make the most out of what the Novus has to offer, as well as advanced students, well, that's another story. Second, portability. Now, can one person move this thing around? Sure. Do I recommend it? Not unless you'd like the word hernia appearing in your conversations a little more regularly. The Novus 10S clocks in at just under 300 pounds. So for folks who are limited on space and would like the flexibility to be able to store the piano when not in use or have it live in other different locations, the Novus is probably, again, not your choice. Now, if you've got the room for it, hey, great. The Novus also has a smaller footprint than even the smallest of baby grands, incidentally, and is much more comparable to a console upright in size. Price and portability are almost always the first two factors that families I teach are considering when getting a new instrument. The next two factors are the ones I try to stress to them as also incredibly important, and they happen to be where the Novus 10S does shine like no other hybrid piano: action and sound. Now, the action of a piano, without getting super technical, is basically the way that the keys respond when we play them. This is massively important for a pro player, okay? And it becomes less so the closer to the beginning stages of learning that we go. For a beginner, the most important thing is, and this is something you want to have in any piano that you get, are they weighted? Okay? Weighted action means that the instrument has a resistance that's built in to the keys and the key bed that makes the key response feel similar to that of an acoustic piano. Semi-weighted or unweighted keys are very different, do not give you that same tactile feel. So, does playing the Novus feel like playing a regular acoustic piano? Actually, in most cases, no. It feels better. It's amazing. The action is so good. It's as good as any acoustic piano. Here's the thing. Whenever you hear me talking about a Kawai piano, okay, I can almost guarantee you're going to hear me talking about one thing above all. It's action. From their lowliest of keyboards to their top shelf handcrafted shigerus, Kawai does one thing better than any other piano manufacturer, period, and that is build amazing piano action. They are constantly innovating, blending time-proven techniques that they've been developing for decades with top-shelf classic and modern materials in a way that simply blow my mind with how responsive the end product is. That's why the best-known top-shelf brand, you may have heard of them, Steinway, uses Kawai-built actions in their Boston pianos, and why arguably the top-tier pro keyboard manufacturer right now, Nord, uses Kawai actions in their graded hammer rigs. Now look, everybody has a preference. I get it. If you like so-and-so's action better, hey, that's cool. If you say a Steinway's action is better than a Shigeru, it's America. You're totally allowed to be wrong. The Novus 10S has what Kawai calls their Millennium 3 action, found in many of their actual acoustic grand pianos, slightly adapted to better fit this analog to digital creation. It is an absolute dream to play, besting most other straight acoustic pianos I've played over the decades. It's just incredible. I don't know how they do it. It's alchemy, it's magic, but boy, is it super cool and super fun. Here's the thing with the Novus 10S as well as some other Kawai hybrids, okay? If you don't like the overall action response, you can change it. They actually have, through their built-in app called Virtual Technician, the ability to set the actual response to be faster and lighter or slower and heavier. Now, when I first experimented with this, I thought, okay, well, how good is it going to be? And it floored me. This setting can really, by the way, help beginner students if they're struggling with finger strength, overall hand-eye, and just control in general by making the piano respond a little easier. You can make it lighter touch. That is definitely now a nice feature. However, I would definitely not label it as an essential for a beginner. Now, for intermediate and advanced players, having a good instrument response is essential for learning how to really make a piano sing. And this, the Novus can do better than any other hybrid out there. Speaking of singing, and don't worry, I'm not going to sing, the next category I emphasize for student families is sound. And yes, parents, the Novus comes with a headphone jack. Now, that being said, if you do hear it with headphones only, you are truly missing out on what attracted me to the Novus in the first place. It's incredible live, in-person sound. Instead of strings and a soundboard, the Novus 10S utilizes 7 speakers, world-class proprietary piano sampling, and convolution spatial rendering to psychoacoustically recreate the aural experience of having a world-class Kawai piano in your home. Now that's a whole bunch of fancy buzzwords, ain't it? Now, what's that all mean? Well, instead of sounding like you're hearing a keyboard playing through like a stereo system, it sounds and even feels like you're hearing and playing a genuine piano. It's just incredible. Now I'll talk more about this in an upcoming video about the Novus 10S and live performance applications. But suffice it to say, this thing sounds great. As a teacher, you always want the student to fall in love with the sound of a piano, if they haven't already. The Novus has a better shot than any other digital or hybrid system out there. Box checked. Which leads us to our next category, other features. Sure, there's a whole slew of sampled piano sounds and ways that you can adjust them with the aforementioned Virtual Technician to get exactly the sound that you want, which is frankly way more than most students are ever going to care about. Some of the students are also going to be interested in what other cool sounds might this thing have under the hood? And the answer is plenty. The Novus has all of the classic keyboard instruments and all range from very good to superior in quality. EPs or electric pianos like the Rhodes and Wurlitzers, traditional and jazz organs like pipe organs and Hammonds, and acoustic and electric bass to practice left-hand patterns. Little joke, how many bass players does it take to screw in a light bulb? None. The piano player does it with his left hand. I mean, you got the drums. You got to do the rim shot, right? It has strings, voices, and all sorts of other pads, and it's got plenty more stuff to go along with that. I'm not going to be exhaustive here for this video because frankly, additional features for the student are more of a bonus than a requirement. They're nice to have, but we're talking about learning how to play piano, not how to orchestrate a chamber ensemble. The last category to cover is UI, or user interface, which is basically how easy the instrument and its features are to use. And here, unfortunately, is where I believe Kawai as a manufacturer has the most room for improvement. No one can touch Kawai when it comes to their action. And no one surpasses them in sound, although I believe a few are just as good, and really in that case it's more a matter of preference. But Kawai simply has not developed a user-friendly system yet for their instruments in the digital and the hybrid markets. This is something that several other manufacturers do excel at. Kurzweil, for instance, used to be my favorite digital keyboard back in the day in stage piano, and now Nord seems to be leading the way and to be incredibly good at that. And of course, other brands like Roland, they've always been good at that as well. The touch screen on the Novus 10S on the left is not horrible, but it is not great by any means. The amount of screen swipes and button presses and just general navigation, all just to get basic features to work quickly and correctly, like switching sounds, editing recordings of your playing, and other essential tools, is pretty unfriendly, even to experienced users like myself. I've actually tapped the screen myself by mistake before while performing and started the metronome. Ouch. Now yes, there's an app, and A, it's not great either, and B, dude, if I'm running a piano from an app on my phone, it better be because I'm not sitting at it. I need to be able to interface with my keyboard and my piano straight on the instrument itself. Now, the good news is, while it can be challenging, a lot of this really isn't a major concern. If they want to switch to a different sound or drill deep on settings, there's less of a time crunch than if you're a performer switching sounds in the middle of a song with your drummer during a live show, going back and forth to try and keep up with whatever the arrangement is. All right, so let's sum it up. If you're a beginning to newly intermediate student, the Novus 10S is probably overkill for you, mainly because of its $40 price tag. If you're a dedicated intermediate to advanced student, the Novus could well be worth it for you. While it is lacking in a few areas like UI and portability, in the key qualities every student needs, like good action and sound, it does more than excel. It's the industry leader for hybrid pianos. Now, don't take my word for it alone. If you want to see the Novus 10S in action and hear how it sounds, you can catch me performing on this one right here Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time during my own music live stream called Storytime, featuring guest musicians like my good buddy Jared here on the drums and original music. Watch it right here on YouTube on my own channel or on my Twitch channel, both of which are named EB Lounge. And you can find more information at my website, eblounge.com. Got a Novus 10S? Let us know in the comments and tell us what you think. Folks, I'm EB, and you've been hanging with me here at the EB Lounge on behalf of Alamo Music. Be on the lookout for my next 2 videos on the Novus 10S, focusing on studio recording and live performance applications. Until then, go make some music. See you soon.